Welcome back to another episode of the Conquer Cast. Question for you.
Answer.
When all is said and done, how do you feel like you'll measure your life? All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Conquer Cast. I'm here with Jeremy Eldridge. He is head of marketing for Hoyt.
Yep.
And I'm super excited to have him here. It was I kind of had to twist his arm. He's a super humble guy and didn't, I don't know if it was that or if you didn't want to spend time with me, but we've always enjoyed catching up when we've had the opportunity. And I've always appreciated Jeremy. Honestly, I'll just give you a little compliment to begin with. I don't have anything scripted or anything, but when I got into the industry through MTN Ops, Jeremy was one of those. Everyone knew who you were, knows you. You've been in the industry for such a long time, and I've never heard a bad thing said about you. and I can totally see why. You are very humble, down to earth, service oriented, wanting to take care of people. You believe in the product you sell. You love it. You live it. But you're just a kind, salt of the earth individual, and to the point where we've got a mutual friend. I won't say who this individual is, but he's told me multiple times, if I ever get baptized, Jeremy's going to do it because he is the most Christ-like person I know. And so I just want to start out by saying, like, I feel grateful to have you as a friend, and very grateful that you'd give us some of your time and attention today and our audience and just being here. So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So,
yeah, it's good to be here.
It's fun because I've only ever shot a Hoyt bow, getting into the industry as we started MTN Ops, and I was introduced to a Utah company that's here in our backyard, and huge company, been around for a long time. You've been with them for quite some time. I want to dive into your experience there, kind of your roadmap, and how that all came to be. I'd love to dive into maybe some of your hunting stories. And we've just, so the listener knows, we're looking at the new Hoyt RX-10, Jeremy's bow, sitting here on the desk. And there's some arrows covered in blood. So maybe we can talk about a few of your favorite hunting stories. Yeah. But I do also want to dive into like the bow and the setup and the different elements, because we have a lot of people that listen to this podcast and they hunt, but many of them just hunt with rifle. They've never done it with a bow.
Sure.
And kind of aspire to get into it with a bow. But I love the customization of these bows and how they really fit with the individual. So I want to dive into all of that if we have time.
For sure.
Does that sound all right?
Yeah. Yeah, we can dive into all of it.
In a nutshell, though, like, tell us who you are, kind of just, you don't have to get into your whole story yet, but just like who you are. And
yeah, so like you mentioned, I'm the director of marketing at Hoyt. I've been there for 21 years. I'm happily married. My wife is amazing. We have 4 kids. They're all married. And we just love family, love outdoors, love anything we do with our family. But my wife, she's my everything, and
That's awesome.
we are best friends. Hate being apart from each other, and but she's been awesome to support me, through my passion of hunting and fishing in the outdoors. It means we do have to spend some time apart because I leave, and she's always good with it. Yeah. Always. She's never complained, and I love that about her.
That's awesome. Is she into the outdoors as well?
She loves hiking, mountain biking. She loves being out on the boat, and sometimes I'll make her fish, and she will for a minute. But she just loves being outside. But she has killed a bull elk, but after that she was like, okay, I've done it. I'm done. Yeah. Don't put me in anymore. And
gotcha.
But she loves that. We love it.
That's
me and
awesome.
My kids. So
you have 3 boys?
So I have 2 boys and 2 girls.
2, okay.
Yeah. And cool. They all enjoy being out, outdoors too. Enjoy hunting.
Yeah. And you've got grandkids too. We were just talking about this before, and Jeremy's a young grandfather, but I was just saying, like, that could definitely be me by the time I'm your age, which I'm not far behind. So
yeah, no, I guess I'm a little bit young to be a grandpa, but it is the best thing. Like, it's the reward of life. I don't know, man. For people younger that are listening, they're like, oh, geez, whatever. But for those who already are, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Cool. And I like to say, if I had been a grandpa before I was a dad, I'd be a way better dad.
Really?
Would have been a way better dad. Your perspective just changes. Like, So they make a mess, whatever, it cleans
Mm.
up. But when you're a dad, you just, he's like, there's just so much. It's
Mm.
always a mess. And, I don't know. It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. I'll just say that, but it's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I guess I'll look forward to it. I don't know. It's just kind of hitting me hard that my kids are getting to that age, and it's not bad. It just is like, wow, where did the time go? And did I do
Yeah.
enough? And,
Oh, yeah. It's so cliche, the phrase, it goes fast, but
Yeah.
it does, man. And we have friends and whatever that are in every stage of life. And, they're like, man, I can't wait till I'm an empty nester. I'm like, no, hold on, man.
Mhm.
You should wait. Like, you're in a great stage of life.
Yeah.
You've got kids in Little League. Enjoy that, and anyway, so every stage of life is great.
That's
and
awesome.
We're enjoying this one.
Did you and your wife find something that helped you kind of stay in the moment during those ages? Because a lot of our listeners will have, little kids at home. And I'm surprised when I hear people say, I can't wait till they're out of the house. I'm like, I don't get that. Like, I love the moments with them.
Yeah.
In the house. But is there, this being the ConquerCast, it's good to talk about parenting as well, from somebody that's done it well, I'm sure. What is there a way to stay in that moment that you and your wife found?
Well, my wife was way better at it than I was, just because when my kids were really young, I was busy. I was going to school full time. I was working full time. So I think that's another reason I really like this grandparent stage, is watching my grandkids, because I was so busy. I don't know that I remember all those fun details of my kids walking and starting to talk and eating new foods. It was just life back then. And now I'm like, from a different perspective, like enjoying every piece of that. But she was way better at it. She was very present with my kids. Once I finished school and just kind of got to a normal schedule of a job, I was able to also be more present. But, I coached my kids in everything I could, just to be part of that. And, I love football, and my two sons loved football. And so I coached them all the way up till high school. And then Brittany was always involved in, whether it was team mom or the board of the Little League or the boosters in high school. So we just tried to be involved.
That's cool.
And be part of it as much as we could without being too much part of it,
Yeah.
where they're like, geez, Dad, take a break. Like,
Yeah.
this is my sport. This is my team, So
That's awesome.
anyway, I think, just trying to be involved as much as we could.
That's cool. I saw a post from you, and at first, the post grabbed my attention because your son was, I think he had just killed a turkey. He had a Mountain Ops hat on, so I was like, oh, cool, he's got a mountain. And this is a while back. But your post said something about like the school had called and he was marked absent, or a couple of your kids or something. You're like, I told him it was hashtag Hoyt tagged out or something like that, and they didn't understand me. So it was, and I love that. I'm like, yeah, kids. It was the opening day or something.
Yeah.
Do you remember that post?
Yeah. I don't remember I remember the day and the instance, but I don't remember what I exactly posted. But
I mean, is that you as a dad? Like, yeah, for those moments, of course. Like, let's leave school. Let's be there. Let's.
Yeah, I think. Listen, I mean, if you got to miss school to go have a life experience, I'm all about that,
Yeah.
right? And I was able, because I work in the industry, I've got a lot of invites, but some of my favorite invites have been where they said, bring your sons or bring your kids, and so me and my boys, when they were, young, 8 and 10, we went to Nebraska turkey hunting like 3-4 years in a row with the really good friend, Danny Ferris, who's in the industry, that invited us. And, we've been on some whitetail hunts where, my boys, that never happened for me until I was an adult working at Hoyt. But to be able to go on a whitetail hunt as a 12-year-old kid from Utah, like that's pretty cool, right? And yeah, you got to miss school to do that. Yeah. And I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we shouldn't. School's not important. It's 100% is important, but there's got to be a balance. I mean, you can miss a couple days and make it up, and then you have this memory, and obviously you learned a bunch on that trip, right? Going to Nebraska turkey hunting, they learned a lot. So anyway, I think there's, just you gotta have a little bit of balance.
That's cool. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I've tried to do the same that way, but I'll have to pick your brain in a few years when the grandbabies start coming, and just enjoy it, right? But so 21 years at Hoyt, was that right out of college or?
No. So I was going through school. I was working. This will sound funny, but I was working at a silver refinery.
Huh.
and we would recover silver from the photo industry.
Huh.
So before digital, right, you'd take pictures with your camera and it had film in it, and you'd go to the 1 hour lab and turn your film in. And when they would process that film, part of the process is it would wash the silver. There's silver on that film, and it would wash that silver off and leave the image on the film, and that's how you'd get your picture. And they can't flush that silver down the drain because it's a heavy metal. And so I worked for a company. We would send a product to the photo lab. They would have to pump their chemicals through this filter. It would capture the silver, and they would send it back to us. And then we had a refinery division. We'd melt it down and get their silver. And so I was working there all through school. And as I was finishing up school, it just so happens that business was being sold and moving to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I wasn't really looking to move. Plus, I was kind of looking at the handwriting on the wall. I'm like, I don't know how much longer people are taking pictures with film. Like, there's digital cameras that exist now, you know. And so I was looking for a change anyway. So I started looking for a job, and this will also be funny, but it was in the newspaper, right? You would look in the newspaper back then. You'd look in the want ad. So I'm going down and
you're not that old, are you? Man?
Dude, I am that old.
You watch VHS tapes?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I found there was this ad for Hoyt, and it was in the job was in purchasing, and that's actually what I had been doing for that refinery.
Cool.
I was doing all their purchasing and shipping and warehousing and managing all that, and so I didn't even trust. Like, again, there wasn't even an email address in that one ad. It was a physical address where to mail your resume. And I didn't trust the mailman with this. I was already a diehard Hoyt guy. I loved bow hunting. I loved target archery. And when I saw that job at Hoyt, I was like, no way, man.
Wow.
Oh, so I drove down to Hoyt, went in the front door and turned in my resume.
Cool.
And
were they at the time same location?
They were in Salt Lake. They were at a different building, you know, just down the road. But yeah, they were in Salt Lake. So because the job I had moved in Mexico, and so I was just out of work, and we'd previously had a trip planned to San Diego with our family, and so I was driving down the freeway in San Diego, and my phone rang, and it was Hoyt, and I answered, and they asked if I could come in tomorrow for an interview, and I'm like, maybe I need to check flights. And the girl was kind of confused. She's like, I'm sorry, I thought you were local. I'm like, I am local, but I'm on a family vacation in San Diego. So let me see if I can get there. And she's like, oh, no, we can do it. You know, when do you get back? I said, well, I'll be back next week. She said, we'll do it next week. And I don't even know why I said this, but I was like, okay, but don't hire anybody. So I think she probably went into HR, and she's like, we can get this guy for anything, like for nothing, like $5 an hour. You know?
That's awesome.
So they did. They waited for me. I had the interview the next week, and they called me back for a panel interview, and then another interview, and then I got the offer.
That's
and that
awesome.
was like my dream job, because, like I said, I already had a Hoyt hunting bow and a Hoyt target bow, and I was just one of those guys that would, I knew every October Hoyt was coming out with new bows, and that the catalogs would land at the dealer. And so I would always call the dealer, hey, did you get new catalogs yet?
Wow.
And as soon as they did, I'd go down and get the catalog and look at the new Hoyts.
Wow.
So
that's just part of your life then.
It was my dream.
So so you grew up hunting in the outdoors and everything, and shooting a Hoyt?
So I grew up in the outdoors, and my best friend and his dad were really into archery. And this was when I was really young, like 6, 7. And his dad would take us to the shoots he would go to, and we'd just have this little recurve and just launching arrows. And so between that, and then my dad and grandpa's, they all hunted. They didn't bow hunt, but they all hunted. And so I kind of had this, opportunity when I got to be a little older to, like, I loved archery because of my friend and his dad, and I loved hunting because of my family. I want to try bow hunting. And my parents said, when you get your Eagle Scout, we'll get you a bow. Yeah. And so I got my Eagle, I think I was 14, and they bought me a bow, and my dad would take me bow hunting. He didn't bow hunt, but he would take me, and then a little later in life, in my early 20s, I really got into bow hunting. And the Wasatch Front it's the extended Wasatch, but that was like the first few years of the extended Wasatch. It wasn't very popular yet, and there were giant bucks everywhere. And I was addicted chasing those bucks up there. And I missed a really big buck, and I blamed it on
your first year out on that.
Yeah, like my first or second year, I missed a really big buck, and I just blamed it on a few things: my equipment and not being good enough, and on that, after that, me and my brother, we got way into it. We bought target bows and we would shoot every day. We worked at a warehouse, and so we'd go in early and we'd have a target set up down the back of the warehouse, and we'd shoot all the time and go to leagues. And so that's when I really got into archery, like really addicted. And didn't take long to figure out that Hoyt was the brand, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I shot tournaments and I shot at bow hunting, and that was Hoyt, like tournament archery and bow hunting. And so, yeah, I bought an Ultratech for tournament archery, and I bought a Vortec for bow hunting. And so anyway, when I got my job at Hoyt, it was like, no way, this is like a dream come true. And,
that's so cool.
and I started in purchasing. I worked in purchasing for about a year and a half. And then the director of marketing at the time, he came and he's like, Jeremy, you need to come work in marketing. And I was like, I don't even know what you guys do over there. It just, every time I look in your office, it looks like you're reading a magazine and watching a video. I'm like, I don't know. I really like purchasing. And he's like, Jeremy, this is marketing at Hoyt. This doesn't get any better for a guy like you. And I'm like, all right, I'll tell you, I'll give you 6 months in marketing and see if I like it. And he's like, you'll never look back. And here I am 21 years later, still there. So
what was your degree in?
It was in business management.
Okay.
But had an emphasis in logistics and operations.
Okay.
So that's why kind of the supply chain side of the business made sense. And then,
and then did you just have a knack for the marketing side because you kind of lived and breathed it? You understood?
Yeah. I think because I was such a bow hunter and a target shooter.
You were the customer.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. And I always joke, like, if it would have been Whirlpool, I would have turned him down. Like, no way, I'm not doing marketing for Whirlpool. Like, no offense to anybody who works marketing at Whirlpool, but it wouldn't have been my passion, right? Like going to an appliance.
Whirlpool hot tubs?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
No,
or the
like dishwashers? I don't know. Like,
is there a Whirlpool hot tub? Maybe there's not a hot tub. I was going to say that'd probably be right up my alley. I love it.
But yeah, I think because of the passion that was involved, it was an easy transition for me. Again, it wouldn't have been cool to go to an appliance trade show and tell a RC Willie why they should come buy our dishwashers. Like, it wouldn't have been fun, right? I wouldn't have been good at it because it wasn't something I was passionate about. But it was an easy transition to the bow hunting side. And so my first job in marketing was event coordinator. So I'd get us ready for all the shows. And then I became pro staff manager. So I was working with our pro staff hunting and bow hunting and target, so I was talking to guys like Michael Waddell. I'm like, no way, man. Michael Waddell just called me. And then I became the assistant marketing manager and then the marketing manager, and now I'm the director of marketing. So, I was just, anyway.
That's amazing.
So I'm grateful I made that switch, and it's worked out well.
And they didn't call anyone else in for maybe, I don't know, did they interview anyone else? Or
I don't know.
Like, this guy seems like the guy.
It seemed like they just had their mind made up.
Yeah, that's so cool. So. That's amazing. How long have you been the director of marketing there?
So that was since 2020. Okay. Or 2019.
Very cool.
End of 2019. So almost 5 years.
Tell us a little history on Hoyt for those that don't know that. And I'm curious. I need to dive into some of my family history because I have Hoyt names in my family.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And as I've dove through, and I think there's like a Jedediah Hoyt, and I don't know what the Hoyt history, I got to see if there's anyone in there from my family. I think that some of this might be in my blood a little bit, but I want to dive into it because I've been caught off guard a few times with the name Hoyt, and I don't know if is that the last name of the founder? Yeah.
So the founder, his name was Earl Hoyt, and in 1931, Earl Hoyt was a engineer at McDonnell Douglas, I think, one of the aerospace companies in St. Louis, Missouri, and he liked archery. Okay. And at that time, if you were to buy a bow, you would buy it from a local bow maker, someone making bows in their garage, long bows and recurves, right? So he's
no compound yet at that time.
There's no compound. Yeah, didn't come around to the 70s, and so Earl he loved archery, but he was also an engineer, and so he's looking at his bow and he's like, I think I can make this a lot better. Like, there's a lot of things that could be better about this bow. And so he started to make bows, and he ended up starting Hoyt Archery. Quit his job as an engineer at McDonnell Douglas and started Hoyt Archery, and started making some pretty good bows. And when archery was reintroduced into the Olympics in 1972, I think everybody won medals with Hoyt bows. Yeah.
Wow. So it was reintroduced. Was it a part of the Olympics before? And
like historically, way back when it was one of the sports, right? I mean, think about how old archery is. One of the oldest tools we have, And so then it was out of the Olympics for a while, but reintroduced in in 72. And so Earl saw, tournament archery as kind of his racetrack to make a better bow for bow hunting.
Huh.
And so, and that's kind of still, today we're very engineering minded, very innovative as a company. Tournament archery and recurve archery is a very important part of our business. And all of our engineers bow hunt and love bow hunting.
That's
and
cool.
So, yeah, we're just, I don't know, starting from Earl all the way through, it's kind of been the Hoyt way.
Did it started in Missouri?
St. Louis, Missouri, in 1931.
That's everyone.
In the 80s, mid to late 80s, Earl sold it. Well, there was an owner in between, but the Easton family, Jim Easton, bought it.
Okay.
In the mid to late 80s, and so Jim obviously owns Easton Archery, the Arrow company,
Yep.
and he bought Hoyt, and he moved sales and marketing out here pretty soon after that. And then in the early 90s, he moved all the manufacturing out here.
Okay.
So today there's a runway at the St. Louis airport where the original Hoyt factory was.
Wow.
So he moved it out here in the 90s, and yeah, it's been out here ever since.
That's
so
really cool.
a lot of growth in the company back then. They just started in a room at the Easton factory.
Okay.
Now we have obviously our own factory.
Everything runs separately?
Everything runs separately, yeah. So the Easton family still owns Easton and Hoyt,
Okay.
but we're run completely separate. We both have our own, own president of the company, own management groups, own building. We obviously report up to the same person, but run completely separate.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you said 1970, that's when compound bows kind of
In
were
the
introduced,
70s, I think it was in the 70s is when compounds started.
Is that when
to become
Hoyt
a
jumped
thing.
into them, or was when did Hoyt start making
That's a
compound
good question.
bows?
I don't know when Hoyt made their first compound. I think it was a little bit later. The Allen compound bow is what it's commonly referred to as the first compound, and it had steel cables and pulleys in multiple places. It was not anything like what we have today. But
Were the compound bows ever dangerous because they weren't like put together right, and they or was it?
I don't know. I mean, I think any bow can be dangerous.
Can be dangerous.
There's so much stored energy.
Yeah.
Right. There's so much stored energy in that, and you're holding it in your hands. So, yeah, if it's not built well, or if you make a mistake and let go of the wrong.
Did you ever hear the story of one of our marketing guys that he wanted? It was like his first week here at MTN Ops. It was back in the day when our office was at my brother's used car dealership.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
But he wanted to shoot a bow really bad, so we got him a Hoyt, and we went over to Wild Arrow Archery in Centerville. And his first time drawing back, and that can be a little intimidating, drawing back. And sometimes you can get some macho man who's never drawn back on a 70-pound bow, and he struggles to pull it back. It's just a different thing until you get the reps in. And he drew back, and somebody there told him to adjust his grip. Oh. And so he went to adjust his grip, and it slipped out of his hand, and that bow came back, hit him in the eye, and he dropped. It knocked him out.
Oh, my Lord.
And fortunately, nothing other than there was a kind of a small concussion, but it hit him right in the eye socket. Unfortunately, nothing happened to his eye. It just like swelled shut.
So lucky.
And so lucky. So I'm cautious to tell people. It definitely, like, while they're drawing back the first time, I'm like, I don't ask them to.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm not a coach or anything, but just from that experience, like, I think about it almost every time I draw back. I'm like, okay, I got to be really careful with any adjustments I make, because I mean, it just slipped right out of his hand, and he obviously let up to too much, but we had that experience. So that these bows can be dangerous, right? If you don't know how to operate them.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta be careful. Know what you're doing. Make sure someone's helping you. If it's if you're new to it, but other than that, they're very safe. The Hoyt bows are built incredibly well.
They are.
We have a crazy testing standard for them.
Yeah. What is that? It goes through a lot of.
Yeah. So, the Hoyt, the riser, which is this section, from here to here.
Yeah.
The Hoyt riser has to withstand 1,500 dry fires.
Wow.
And that's at 30 inches of draw length, 80 pounds of draw weight. So that's an incredible amount of energy. So when one of the engineers designs a new bow, they build the first one and they put it in the dry fire machine. And so the riser has to go 1,500 dry fires without any cracks, any breaks, any bends. Like, it has to be good to go when
Wow.
it's done. And then the limbs, which is the part here that
Yep.
flexes, those have to go 1,000 dry fires without breaking or splintering.
Wow.
And they'll usually last the full 1,500. When we're testing the risers, the limbs will usually last the whole time.
Wow.
So, and we build them that way because, quite a few, before I started at Hoyt, the president of Hoyt, and at the time I think he worked in engineering, he was shooting a new bow, and back then, a lot of bows, their weakest point was right here by the grip, and that bow cracked at the grip, and that bow came back.
Ooh.
And a lot like your brother, he had a pretty scary
Wow.
event there, and so he was like, we're never going to put a customer through this.
Yeah.
We're going to build a bow that will withstand 1,500 dry fires, and that's our standard. And
Why
it's been ever
1,500? Is it?
since. I don't know why he came up with that.
I wondered if there was like a number of fires that a hunter or somebody in the life of a bow like.
Hopefully that's zero. I mean, hopefully they never dry fire
Well,
the bow.
I guess
So-
not dry firing, but just firing their bow. If there's
So
like
we have the dry fire test, and we also have a cycle test. So the cycle test is it draws the bow and just lets it up, and draws the bow and lets it up, and that's a 250,000 cycle test.
wow.
So the bows have to withstand 1,500 dry fires and 250,000 cycles, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot. We could build our bows lighter weight, and we could probably build our bows faster if we didn't have to hit that.
I love
hit
that you have that
benchmark.
standard
But
though.
safety and durability are the two things we shoot for first. And so anyway, so yeah, that's the story behind why we have that dry fire test. And
Would do the recurves and that go through any type of
Yeah,
testing that way?
same
Is that
thing.
more just like
No,
flex or what?
the recurves go through the
dry
same
fire.
same testing.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Is compound in the Olympics or just the recurve? And
So just recurve, but I don't know if it's I think it's the next Olympics, 2028 Olympics, there's going to be compound archery
wow,
for the first time.
wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
it's really exciting.
Are you gonna be out there?
No. I'll be there watching
You'll be there
probably,
watching.
but the other cool thing is it's in LA, so
Okay.
it's in our home turf.
Cool.
Because it's always just been recurve. So we're excited now. It'll be recurve. There'll be recurve events and
Yeah.
compound events.
What at those events? What distances are they shooting? How does a recurve event work? Like, you got everyone firing at the same time on their targets? Or?
Yeah, so there's just a big line of shooters, and they'll shoot a couple days of qualifications, and then after those qualifications, it's narrowed down, and so I could be wrong on this because I'm not sure if the Olympics is different, but in a lot of tournaments, a lot of world archery tournaments, World Archery is the organization that runs international tournaments.
Okay.
And in a lot of world archery tournaments, you shoot qualifications for a day or two, and then you get slotted. So number 1 will shoot against number 64, number 2 against 63, and so and then it just is narrows it down until you've got your final 4,
Gotcha.
and then they'll shoot for the medals, and so that's generally how that works.
Cool.
So
If for the medals, is it usually like one shot, or are they kind of going back and
no,
forth?
they'll
or-
shoot a full round.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
they score it from the full round from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, so there's some different ones. One, it's just final score at the end, but there's other ones where it's kind of a match play. So you and I, if we're shooting off, we would shoot our 3 arrows, and if I won that one, then I would get 2 points.
Okay.
If you won the next one, you'd get 2 points, and it's the first one to 6. And
Oh,
so
wow.
it's nice because you could have a really bad round, and you're not
You're not out.
knocked out. Like, you can come back the next end
Okay.
and shoot better and win that end, and you're back in it.
Okay.
If we tie, then we both get a point. And so, yeah, it's funner to watch that way because you can keep track of what's
Yeah.
happening. The guy down there might, if it's not that way, if it's just your final score, the guy way down there might have a perfect score, and the guy way down there might have
Yeah.
a perfect score, and you're not even sure because you don't know. There's so many people
Makes
shooting,
sense.
you don't know who to watch. So they came up with that match play to kind of make archery more exciting to watch.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's the distance they're shooting?
So compound shooters in international play shoot 50 meters, and recurve, I believe, is 90 meters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. No, it's really cool. I love learning about this, and I had some time out at your guys' shop. It was earlier this year, I think, before I took off to Africa, and I needed to get my RX-9 set up, and it was fun to be out there and to kind of watch the setup process. And I've seen it before, but I was able to kind of see it in more depth. everything's so custom. It's like it's set up for the individual.
Yeah.
And I loved all the elements of that. Like what makes a bow so custom, and why, like you can't just go on to Hoyt, order a bow, have it show up in the box and think you're going to go shoot that day.
Yeah. Archery is very unique that way. Like we get a lot of people always ask, why don't you guys sell direct? Why don't you sell online?
Yeah.
Well, it's because of what you just said. Archery, setting up a bow is maybe one of the most difficult pieces of sporting good equipment to set up for somebody. You got to have, know the right draw weight. You got to know the right draw length. And then depending on that determines which arrow you should have. And then, your peep height, your peep sight, which is this right here on the string.
Yep.
That is very determined on you,
where you anchor,
the size of your face, how high your high is, how high your eye is, where you anchor, right? All that. So you really need to go to your dealer. They're experts at this, right?
Yeah.
They can make sure that you get the right draw weight and draw length, get the right arrows that are safe to shoot out of that bow, get your peep set, help you get the sight on, go through that whole process with you, because it's pretty involved and you want to make sure it's right. Otherwise, the bow will never shoot well for you and you'll just be like, I don't like archery.
Yeah.
I'm not having a good experience. And it might just be because the bow is not set up right for you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know it's so important because I know, like, I'll take my wife and my kids out to shoot, and they love the feeling. When you at a total archery challenge, you fling an arrow, you hit the foam, and it just feels good.
Yeah.
But when you're hitting like the target you're going after, and it's hitting accurately and everything, it's an incredible feeling. But if you're out hunting and you don't have it set up properly, it can be very unethical if you're just flinging arrows,
Right.
So,
yeah, for sure.
And it looks like you've had some, by the looks of this, there's some arrows in this quiver that have blood. Is that a recent hunt?
Yeah, I just got back from Kansas. I shot a buck and a doe there, so
okay.
I literally just grabbed this and
That's
came.
awesome.
I didn't,
Good.
Obviously didn't even clean it up, but yeah, so it's always good when you see a bloody arrow in the quiver.
That's awesome. What about this new RX-10? What's the technology with this, and what are you guys excited about here?
Yeah, so the RX-10 has a brand new tuning system. So, when you set up a bow, one of the first things you'll do is you get everything set up, and then you're going to shoot it through a piece of paper that's, it's suspended in the air, clipped on the top and bottom, so your arrow can go all the way through it.
Yeah.
When you shoot your arrow through that paper, it shows if the arrow's kicking or not. So
by the way that it cuts,
why it tears through the paper.
Okay.
Yep. And so if you have a right tear, for example, it means the point went through, but by the time the fletchings went through, your arrow was kicking right, and it made the right tear. And so you go through this paper tuning process to make sure your arrows are leaving straight out of your bow. So
and
it's
that
really
just doesn't tear it, just like has.
Yeah, so it'll have a hole where your tip goes through, and then the veins will make 3 slits off that hole. And so it's just a perfect bullet hole, we call it. So when you're paper tuning, you say, you want to get a bullet hole.
Okay.
If you have a right tear or a left tear or a high tear or a low tear, that's an indication that your arrow is leaving and it's kicking and it's not leaving the bow straight.
Is that always the bow setup, or can that be the operator error as well?
It can be the operator. Yeah, like if you went to your dealer might grab your bow and get it set up, and he shoots it through paper and it's a perfect bullet hole.
Yeah.
But then he'll give it to you and have you shoot it through paper and you get a tear. And that's just because of the different inputs that you put into the bow versus the dealer, right? The way you hold it, the way you grip, how much pressure you have, high or low or side on the grip. So it's very going back to the very specific.
Because does that mean that the shooter is not doing it well, or it just needs to be
just different?
Adjusted to that how they do it?
Yeah. So sometimes it can mean they're doing it wrong. They're gripping the bow too hard and torquing it, or maybe they're mashing the string into their face and it's causing a kick when it'll go.
Because it's kind of pulling it off.
Yeah. So there are some things that you could be doing that's wrong, but it could just be you have a bigger hand. You have bigger muscles, your shoulders or whatever, right? So anyway, you want to paper tune the bow for you. And so with the RX-10 and the AX3 that we came out with this year, it has a brand new tuning system that makes that paper tuning really easy, really easy. In the past, you would have to, maybe take the cam off and shift the cam over or move the rest or twist some cables, whatever. And so, but with this new tuning system, tip this bow over here. Right here on the front of the pocket is the tuning system.
Okay.
So what you can do is you're going to loosen, these are locking screws.
Okay.
You loosen that. If you shoot through paper and you have a right tear, then when looking at the pocket, you're going to tighten or add resistance to your right,
right.
tuning bolt.
Huh.
If you have a left tear, you'll add it to your left. And that's
cool.
on the top and the bottom. So I used to hate setting up bows. Like even though I've been doing this 21 years, like I just hate it. Like, because I go back and I shoot through paper and I get a tear and I'm like, oh man, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to move my wrist? Am I supposed to shim? Am I supposed to, what's going on, right? And so this year I was way excited about this system because it's supposed to make it really easy. So I got this bow, I went in the back, I shot it through paper and I had a right tear. And I'm like, all right, here we go. We're going to test this out. So I loosened up the set screw and I tightened this one turn and I tightened the bottom one turn. So both of the right had a right tear, tightened to both right tuning bolts one turn, shot it through paper, and I had a tiny left tear now. So I just went a little too much. So I just took a quarter turn out, shot it through paper, perfect bullet hole.
That's it.
This is 5 minutes and 3 arrows and I had a perfect bullet hole. So this system is so
incredible.
nice.
Wow.
Yeah, so nice.
Dang, that's awesome. Is that kind of a first of its kind tuning system like
so
that?
There's other tuning systems out there. In fact, our dealers and customers have been asking us, when are you guys going to have a tuning system? Because there's other bows out there that have them. And so everybody's pumped now. A lot of tuning systems, they'll only get rid of a left or a right tear. They only have that capability. Our tuning system can get rid of a left or a right or a high and a low.
Oh, really?
So it's kind of the most complete tuning system.
Wow.
The other thing that's really cool about it is after you are paper tuned and you've been shooting your bow all summer and you put your broadheads on, this happens a lot. You put your broadheads on and your broadheads don't hit with your field points. So now you're like, man, should I move my sight? Because I need to be on with my broadheads, but I'm still kind of shooting in the backyard or at league or whatever. So I still want my field tips good. So now you got to make a decision. Do I move my sight now or just wait till the day before the hunt or what? But with this system, you can tune your broadheads to hit with your field points.
That's cool.
So you do it the same way. If your broadheads hit left of your field point, that's an indication that your arrow's leaving the bow in a slight tail right, but with the broadhead, it's planing to the left, which is why it's not hitting with your field points.
So it doesn't necessarily mean when it hits the paper that it's turning. It's that it's already starting to turn from the time it leaves the bow.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So then you would just do the same thing like, if you had a right tear, you're going to make that same adjustment for a broadhead hitting left. And you can watch your broadheads just walk back and pretty soon they're hit right with your field points.
Wow.
It's really cool.
That is awesome. Yeah. Oh, I like that. I wasn't aware of what the updates were. So, I've loved shooting a Hoyt. I don't know when this podcast is going to come out, but just got my son a Hoyt bow for Christmas. I think it'll be after Christmas.
Yeah, hopefully.
And he's had one, but he's way outgrown it, and he's a lefty, or else I would have just passed on one of my bows to him type thing, because he shoots a bow with his left, shoots a gun with his right, throws with his left, but writes with his right. Like, it's so weird.
Is he left eye dominant?
He can do both.
Oh,
it
really?
just doesn't matter.
Okay.
It depends on the activity.
Okay, cool.
So kind of interesting. But we've got that bow coming for him for Christmas. We're excited for that. But we've absolutely loved it as a family. I keep my wife and daughter's bows up here because we just come up and do little date nights or daddy-daughter dates and stuff like that. And
that's awesome.
It's a lot of fun. So bow poundage and everything. What do you for hunting? Is there a prescribed, or is it based off the individual, or is there what is it? Because I know I think I'm at 70 or something right now, but when I went in and I first went to go get set up, I think we were at 73 or something, and we just adjusted it down to 70, made a big difference. Yeah. But is that necessary to be there? I know some guys shoot at 90. They're a lot more tough than I am. Yeah. Or is it no, above X does the job?
Most states require 40.
Okay.
So 40 is kind of the minimum. There's some that are 35, but that 35 to 40 is kind of the minimum, as set by the game laws, really. But you kind of want to shoot the most weight you can comfortably shoot. Okay. If that's 50, shoot 50. If that's 60, shoot 60. If that's 70, shoot 70. The most common draw weight we ship is 70. Okay. After that, it's 60. So 60 and 70 are the most common. It's plenty of energy. Kill a deer, kill an elk. Yeah. It's plenty of energy.
Okay. So that's awesome. Yeah. What's been the highlight of working at Hoyt for you?
Man, there's, like I said, being able to work in something I'm passionate about, it's awesome, right? Like every day I go to work doing something I love. being involved in something I love. If I had a different job, I might like that job, but I would be at that job thinking about bow hunting.
Thinking
Right.
about Hoyt, huh?
Yeah, I'd be at that
Or-
job waiting till Saturday when I could go out or whatever. But at Hoyt, it's part of what I think about anyway.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about bow hunting. I'm thinking about what's the next video we're going to make about bow hunting or target archery or whatever. What's the next social post? What's the next email? Well, you know, who's on our pro staff? What do they need? Like, I'm working in it. So I think just being able to work, you know, have my job be something I'm passionate about has been just a true blessing. Like,
That's cool.
it's just not a grind. You know, it's still work. Like, it's still,
Yeah.
it's not that Hoyt doesn't expect us to perform, because they are business. They do expect us to perform. And, you know, and so we've got to be experts at what we do. But it's pretty cool, you know, to be working in something we're passionate about and working with a bunch of other people who are also passionate about it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's probably the coolest thing, is that everyone I work with is passionate about it.
That's so cool.
You know, I've got a really good buddy. He works for a bank. He has shot a world record buck.
Really?
And he works at a bank, and nobody at that bank knows he has shot a world record buck because they wouldn't care. Right? So he has worked. He likes his job and he does a good job, but he misses that. Like he once, in fact, he texted me this morning.
Are you allowed to say his name?
Yeah, his name's Justin.
I just know. I think I know who this is, maybe, because I've had this conversation with him, and he was like, "Yeah, I work at a bank. Nobody knows, but I've killed this." And I think he's been here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Justin Gordon. He's such a stud.
Okay.
And we'll go to lunch once in a while just
Cool.
so he has someone to talk about bow hunting with.
Yeah,
But,
that's awesome.
but yeah, I met another guy from his division one time at a family event, and I'm like, "Oh, do you know Justin Gordon?" He's like, "Yeah, I know Justin." I'm like, "Do you know he shot the world record?" And he's like, "I had no idea," you know. And so I would miss that.
Yeah.
I would miss coming to work with people that I can talk about hunting with
Yeah.
and hear their hunting stories and share my hunting stories. And
Yeah.
just last week we had 4 or 5 guys from the weekend show up with all of their antlers.
How
right.
cool.
I just got back from Kansas. I brought mine. Another guy was there with me. He brought his. Evan was in Colorado and shot a nice muley. He brought his. So it just so happened we were all coming back from hunts. We all have our antlers in there,
That's so
checking them
cool.
out, and you know, and sharing stories. And so that's been one of my favorite parts of working at Hoyt, is just being in the industry and being able to every day talk about and do what I enjoy.
That's cool. No, I love that. In fact, after I got this RX-9 set up and I went to Africa, and I was really hoping you were coming on that trip with me. We'll have to make it happen.
Yeah,
at
we
some
better
point.
do it.
But I remember thinking, I've got to get an animal with this bow, and it was hard. I mean, bow hunting's hard,
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
And the whole time I wanted to have the experience, but I couldn't wait, if it happened, to send you a video of my I was like, I just need to send Jeremy this video. And I had one of the coolest experiences on a red lachway there, you know, army crawling in for 100 yards, and then at 53 yards on my knees, it worked out so well.
Yeah.
It just as perfect as it can be. In fact, it's like the money shot of the whole experience for the whole crew that was there.
That's awesome.
And I'll just give Hoyt the credit, give Jeremy the credit.
Whatever. Yeah. No way.
But so when it comes to leadership, you've been in this organization for a long time. You're leading a team. What's your method for leadership, or what's kind of your style?
Yeah. I'm probably I'm the opposite of a micromanager.
Yeah.
Like, my team tells me all the time, like, "Man, we just appreciate, you know, the freedom you give us."
Yeah.
And part of that's because they can do their job better than I can.
Yeah.
Like, our video editor, I can't edit videos
Yeah.
like he can. Our graphic designers, I can't design like they can. Our social guy and our Colby, our digital marketing manager, I don't know digital like he does. Like,
Yeah.
I know enough about all of it to make sure we're doing the right stuff, but they're the expert, not me.
Mm.
Now, at the end of the day, I need to buy off,
Yeah.
because if something goes wrong, it's,
Yeah.
you know, president's going to come ask me what happened, not go ask them what happened.
Yeah.
So I do want final buy off and approval, but that's my job, you know. But they're great. They're the expert in their area.
You just empower them to do their thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think sometimes they're looking for more input, and so, you know, when I feel that, then I'll meet with them and be like, where are you stalled? Like, what's up?
Yeah.
You know, and so what do we need to do? And the other thing that's cool is we're a pretty small team, but we do everything for Hoyt. We don't have an agency. We do all the marketing for worldwide promotion for Hoyt.
Yeah,
right?
huge company.
Whether that's in, you know, Korea, selling recurves, or whether that's in Mississippi selling compounds, or whether that's wherever, right? We're in charge of the marketing for all of that. And so as a team, we rely on each other a lot. Like, even though everybody has the role they're an expert at, we're the marketing team, and we all pitch in to help each other and brainstorm and give feedback and stuff. So it's pretty cool. I'm glad it's that way and that it's not with an agency, because you just feel like you would lose some of the involvement, you know? So.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I'm imagining, like, you guys just launched this RX-10. You probably, is RX-11, you're probably already working on assets for that? Like, it can be, because this isn't like, it doesn't seem like a super easy thing to put together and assemble and all that. It feels like there's got to be a pretty good lead time for new engineering, new concept. Is it every October you guys launch something?
Yeah, November. So
November?
It used to be October. We're early November now.
Okay.
But, time goes fast at Hoyt, because you got 1 foot in 2025 and 1 foot in 2026 already, right? And so you've got to keep 2025 going, keep marketing, keep advertising, keep promotion going, but you're also preparing for 2026 already. Like, what will the names be? What will the new colors be? What will the graphics look like? What are this, all of that. And so, time goes really fast when you're living in 2 years at once.
This RX series has seemed to be like a really good one for you guys. It started out with the RX-1.
Yeah. So it actually started, so the carbon bows started with carbon matrix.
Okay.
We had carbon matrix, carbon element, carbon spider.
I had the spider was my first bow.
Okay. Yeah. And we had carbon defiant.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we were running into is that, so we have two premier bows. We have a carbon premier bow and an aluminum premier bow. And the aluminum premier bow is what everybody else has, right? Everybody else is making their bows out of aluminum.
Okay.
We're also making one. But then we have this other bow that's more expensive, and it's the carbon bow. And what we were seeing is that customers they would go into a shop and be like, "Can you show me Hoyt's best bow?" Here it is. It's RX-10 or the RX-1 or the carbon defiant, whatever, right? It's this carbon bow. Okay, can you show me their competitor's best bow? Here it is right here. And how much do these cost? Well, that one's this much and that one's this much. Oh, well, if I can get their best bow for hundreds less, so we were running into this dilemma. And so we decided we need a way to separate carbon from everything. So we come up with the Redworks brand.
Okay.
So the Redworks bows now are our carbon bows. So to answer your question, the first RX-1 was not our first carbon bow.
Okay.
It came later as part of this strategy to separate carbon from aluminum and create this little bit of separation. And so RX-1 was more like our fifth or sixth carbon bow.
Okay. What's the difference between the RX and the Redworks?
Redworks.
That is Redworks.
That is Redworks. Yeah. Okay. So Redworks is our carbon bows, and then we just abbreviated the name RX-1, RX-3, RX.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
So today, I mean, obviously, the carbon is the RX-10 and the aluminum is the AX3, and they're both, everything is identical. They have the same cam system, the same tuning system, the same limb system, the same inline accessory system. Everything is identical except the riser. On this bow, it's carbon, and on the other bow, it's aluminum.
Okay.
And so they both shoot awesome. Whenever someone asks me which one to get, I'm like, get whichever one your budget will allow you to get. Yeah. Like if you got to buy the aluminum one, you're not missing it. You're getting a premier bow. Yeah. If you want to get the carbon one, you're getting the premier bow. Awesome. They're both. There's no wrong choice. Cool. Shoot either one of them.
That's awesome. So. No, that's really cool. When I was out there to get this set up, we did a little tour of the facility. It was really cool to see how everything was done. I remember there was like a sink, and you had some film that was over it, and you to dip these bows with different designs or camo patterns. And I'm thinking back to where you started with getting the silver off of
off the film.
The film is that like you put? Was there any correlation between that or
no? But
because it seems like there's a film floating in some solution or water.
You're talking about the dip process, how we put camouflage on products, right, on the risers and the limbs. So we have a tank of hot water, and it's maybe half the size of this table. And then we have a piece of film that's the camo film. So think of it like a piece of wrapping paper, but it's made out of plastic and a little bit transparent. And the camo will be on that piece of film. So if you look at it, it's like, oh, that looks like Kuiu Sitka. Yeah. Or Kuiu or Sitka or Realtree or whatever, right? And so you take that piece of film, you'd lay it on the water, and it's hot water. There's a process, so it sits on the hot water for about a minute and a half, and then a wand will come across and spray activator over that film, and the activator kind of dissolves the plastic, gets the ink ready to stick. So now it's just the ink floating on the water, and then the robot will take the bow riser or the limbs, whatever it's going to dip, and then it just dips it down through that water, really slow, and all the ink wraps around it. Yeah. And so that's how you'd get the camel pattern on them.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, very cool, Jeremy. What's a highlight hunt for you out with do you only hunt with a bow, or do you ever do any rifle? Or?
No, I hunt everything. I like to do
everything.
It all. Yeah. Okay. I normally try to draw like a cow tag.
Yeah.
That it's a rifle tag, just so I can for sure get something in the freezer if the bow hunt didn't go well. So I love it all. I love October is like my favorite time to be outdoors. And most of the bow hunts are wrapped up, so I've got to try and draw a cow tag so I can go out and go elk hunting in October. You know, I just love October with the leaves are changing and it's cooler temperatures and stuff. But my favorite hunt, it's whatever tag I have next. Really, right? This year I had a fun elk hunt with Michael Waddell. I shot a nice bull, and that was my favorite hunt until it was over, right? And then I just got back from Kansas, and when I was getting ready to go to Kansas, that was my next favorite hunt, right? That was my favorite hunt now, to go out and go whitetail hunting. It's always, some people always ask, what's your favorite thing to hunt? I'm like, I love it
just
all.
Whatever I'm hunting.
Everything. I can't choose, but there's nothing like hunting elk in the rut.
Yeah.
There's also nothing like being in the Midwest in November with whitetails in the rut.
I've never done that, so I'm hoping next year is my first whitetail.
You have to do it. They're the coolest. I love whitetails.
Yeah.
Love them. The other thing is they eat really good.
Dude,
they taste so good.
Yeah, I've had it. I think Eric Chester brought some into the office one day, and it was incredible. So it kind of reminded me a little bit of an axis deer that I've hunted. I don't know if it's the same. Or
axis is really good too.
Really good.
Yeah. So I had a good season. You know, I shot a good bull, and then this whitetail happened to be my best whitetail I've ever shot.
Cool.
So that was pretty exciting. And
that's what that
arrow
is right there.
I shot my whitetail buck, and then I still had a couple days to go. So I just went out. I have a doe tag, and I'm like, these things, you know, like I just said, they taste so good. I'm gonna get a doe too. So 2 animals. 2 bloody arrows.
That's pretty good right there.
Yeah.
What's hunting taught you about life, or was there a moment in the woods or out in a field, or that it's like, okay, this is a moment where life it brings about some meaning to you, or
I've thought a lot about it because I've had a lot of time right in the woods, or just a lot of years to think about things. But for me, it's so cool the way people believe what they want to believe, but I believe God created everything, and he could have made every buck a 2-point. He could have, right? Like, just make them all 2 points. Those are the boys, those are the girls. But instead, he created them to grow every year and get bigger and bigger antlers, and I think that was for our enjoyment.
I love it.
He created men to have joy, and he's like, some men are going to like hunting, and I'm going to make some big bucks and some big bulls. And so as I kind of connect all that, I'm like, I'm just so grateful that's the case, right? And that there's something inside of me that gets fired up when I see a big buck or a big bull. And even if I don't get to put my tag on it, just the idea that I saw a buck like that or a bull like that, it's just so cool. I don't know.
I love that.
So for me, I don't know, it's kind of a deeper meaning for me of just that God did that for me to enjoy, you know?
That's really cool. I love that you bring God into it. Is he always been a part of your journey in your life?
Yeah. Yes, very much so.
That's cool. No, I love this. This is incredible to learn more about it, learn more of the history of Hoyt. I love that it's here in the same community as Mountain Ops. It's been fun to raise Mountain Ops as a young brand and have partners like Hoyt that we've worked so closely with and we've done giveaways with, and most of the people here shoot a Hoyt bow, and so there's just such a an incredible partnership that we appreciate, and appreciate your friendship as well and your example. I love that you recognize. I'm going to think about that every time I see a buck or a bull now. Like God created that so that we can enjoy, look at the growth, look at the uniqueness, look at the variety.
Yeah.
And why not be, choosing to have eyes to see things that way.
Right.
I would think that a God who gives us all the variety that we enjoy hopes that we see it, hopes that we recognize it.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And yeah, he's I think he did that because he knew some of us guys and some of us gals would love to enjoy that in life. I don't know. I think of, since I've gotten into hunting, whenever I'm reading scripture, if it ever talks about a bow or a hunt or, and that's how people survived. It's not, it's how we lived. I just love diving into that and how meaningful it was. And a scripture you and I both know where there's an individual whose bow broke and the struggle that was to survive as a family, and that God helping him, and he took it upon himself to create a new bow and to go out and get wild game for the family, and God showed him where. And so I think about those things often when I'm out or somebody struggling to come to know God or to know the reason for things. And while he's out hunting, he kneels down and wrestles with God. And I've been out on plenty of hunts where I've sat in quiet and just wrestled with God with things that are on my mind. And so it's a lot of fun. I've been doing a lot of keynote speeches lately, and I start every single one of them with a limited entry archery elk tag that I had. And I was out there with my Hoyt bow, sitting up in a tree stand, scared to death because I hate heights. And Matt Davis had put me up in this tree stand, know Matt well, and there was no tree harnesses, so I was kind of just uncomfortable and trying to draw my bow back while sitting there, and I felt dizzy but I conquered the fear that day. I actually had my pack on the side of the tree, and I loosened up the strap because my pack was attached. I wasn't. And I put the strap over my shoulder and just cranked down on it. So I used my pack. And one of our videographers was with me, and he had tied his sweatshirt around his head to the tree, and I'm like, "There's no way I'm doing that today." But I've just learned so much sitting out in God's creations, enjoying them, and usually it's with a Hoyt bow, by my side. Cool. So I appreciate it. Jeremy, one last question. This is the Conquer Cast, and I consider you a conqueror, somebody that I feel like is willing to go into find something they love. Even if you needed to, you would have left the family vacation to go get that interview, because it's what an opportunity. So you seek after opportunities to be a part of something you're passionate about, providing for your family, something that you love. You're a conqueror in life, and you've stuck at it for a long period of time. There's a lot of people in life that just jump from one thing to the next. And I'm sure, just like at Mountain Ops, not everything is always rainbows and butterflies. There's peaks and valleys, and there's great times and there's hard times. But you've stuck to it, and I think people are rewarded by God when they let time do the hard work and they stick to something good. But when all is said and done in your life, how will you measure your life? What do you want to be remembered for?
It all has to be about my family. It's not important to me what anyone else thinks except my family. I want them to remember that I was there, that I was present, that I was caring, that that they were important to me. That's awesome. And for a lot of years in my job, because I loved it so much and I was trying to work my way up, I didn't have a good work-life balance. I would work long hours, and at some point I just realized, they can replace me tomorrow. I need to be present at my house too. So I got my hours back to more regular and more time at home with the family and stuff. But I haven't always done a good job at it, but I've tried to always have that in mind and awesome. Do the best job. But yeah, that's
what caused you to feel that or remember that? It was just a moment where you're like, hey,
I think I watched somebody who was extremely dedicated to Hoyt and also worked those long hours get let go, and I was like, if that guy can get let go, anybody can get let go. So what is this doing for me? It's not getting me anywhere extra, right? Because that guy just got let go, and he's been doing that longer than I have. So it's kind of a moment where I was like, all right, they're gonna replace that guy next week, whatever. Everybody's replaceable here, but at home, not everybody's replaceable. I'm not replaceable at home. I don't want to be replaceable, and I'm not replaceable. So it was just kind of just a light went off. I'm like, all right. The job will be here tomorrow. Yeah. I can leave at 5, 5:30, whatever. Right now, there's certain deadlines where you got to put in a little extra, but it was a normal for me to be late, not the exception. And now it's the exception, and I get home. So I just realized like, okay, that's didn't get him anywhere. It's not going to get me anywhere probably.
Yeah.
Let's make sure I take care of stuff
Gotcha.
at home instead.
I appreciate that because I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that are in a similar situation and they're burning it from both ends, and yet there's the family. And I'll admit, like, that's been me oftentimes, running a business, starting a business, struggling through business, and I was that to transition from that to being the exception of instead of the rule, was that difficult, or was that a process where it's just like, okay, I'm just going to do this?
It was almost immediate.
Oh, that's
cool. And the funny thing is, I talked about my team earlier. I had a lot of young team members, and they weren't built that way. They were leaving at 5 every day, and I was like, aren't you guys dedicated? Like, for a minute I was like, why are they leaving? Like, we got work to do. Can they not stay a little longer? But they had their priorities, right? For whatever reason. They had their priorities, whatever they were, and they're leaving. And I was like, oh man, I need these guys to be here longer. But then when I watched it happen, and I'd been watching these guys leave at 5, and they were doing great, getting their work done. I'm like, all right, it's time. It's time to just have a better work-life balance.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I love that. And we've heard that love is spelt with time, right? And I think that hunting, I would say, there used to be an old commercial for our church that would say, family, it's about time. And I would say, like, hunting, for me, it's about time. It's about that time and attention out in the outdoors. It's time with God. It's time with those that you're with. It's time with family. And I'm glad that you shared that about family, that's like what matters most to you in the end. It doesn't really matter what others feel or think, and they definitely need the time and attention that they deserve. Yeah. So we'll leave it at that. And I appreciate you, Jeremy, being here today. Appreciate the partnership, friendship, and thanks for the time today.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Everyone, thank you for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends. Go check out Hoyt and all their incredible products and the history there. You will be well taken care of, I can promise you, because I've experienced it myself. And go out and conquer more.